How's it going, y'all? Rowdy Riles back with another video. More Marvel Legends today, but we've got something a little different because we have Xemnu BAF, which I finished finally. So I do have all the figures that it takes to build him. We're gonna look at them really quick, but a couple of them I'll take a close look at because they're new sculpts. But some of them I've done before, they're older. But yeah, I finished Xemnu. I like Xemnu. He's a cool character. I wanted the BAF, so I finally finished him. All the figures were really cheap, so I was score. In fact, I found Lady Deathstroke for what was she, $10 at GameStop. So yeah, that was great. So I was I need to finish him. So I did. So with all that being said, we'll take a close look at this figure and the rest of the figures that it took to build him. Here is big boy Xemnu all put together. He's also known as the Living Hulk. He appeared before the Incredible Hulk, actually, but he was brown and shaggy when he came there, and he tried to mind control the Earth to build him a giant, well, he succeeded at that, to build him a giant spaceship that he could use to go home. But with that giant spaceship, it would destroy the entire planet, and they were all okay with it because Xemnu was it's all good, you're going to do this for me because I'm controlling your minds. And the guy that he brainwashed as his right-hand man was I got to stop this. So he ended up stopping Xemnu. I don't quite remember how. But after that, Xemnu started popping up, in the 70s or 80s. I don't know. I don't know exactly when it was, as a adversary for the Hulk, which makes sense because they called him the Living Hulk. So there's a little insight into this, in my opinion, pretty cool character. He uses mind control. He actually showed up in the Immortal Hulk, which is an awesome run of the Hulk that was pretty recent. I haven't finished it quite yet. The most recent arc I finished was probably the Xemnu arc, if I recall, but that was when I first experienced the character, and I was this guy's cool, let me look into him, and I found out a bunch of cool stuff. So I was if I ever get the opportunity to finish this BAF, I will. And guess what? Here he is. So obviously that happened. So really happy to have him. I don't have a bunch of Hulk villains. I have Red Hulk, I have Xemnu. That's about it. So here are all the figures that it took to build Xemnu. Recent acquisition. I had the hood already. I do have a review of him on my channel, but I kit bashed him to make him look cooler because the one that they gave us is kind of not great. But Bob has a head now because of this hood, so that's great. And then Red Skull, I don't remember if I did a video on him. I probably did. I definitely did. So there's a video for Red Skull already, but Arcade, Lady Deathstrike, AIM, Soldier or Scientist Supreme, and Dormammu, I have come to bargain. Those were all recent. They were all under retail, which is great. So I scooped them. I got Xemnu together, and she is an X-Men villain, mainly Wolverine. But yeah, she has adamantium claws, as you can see in her fingernails. Dormammu is a Doctor Strange villain. He's kind of an Avengers street level, kind of everybody villain. He was on, what are they called? Shoot, the opposite of the Cabal. He's a member of the Cabal along with Norman Osborn, Lady Loki, Doctor Doom, and Namor, and Emma Frost. Then Red Skull, of course, Captain America villain, Avengers villain. Arcade is mainly an X-Men villain, and AIM is Avengers / X-Men / whoever because they work for MODOK. But I didn't really want to break down a bunch of these characters because Dormammu and Red Skull are the only ones that are new sculpt, and Dormammu reuses Red Skull's body, so it's really the only completely new sculpt here is Lady Deathstrike. Sorry, I said her name wrong at the beginning of the video. Lady Deathstrike. But yeah, she's really the completely new character, but I love to have more villains. My villain shelf is kind of empty, so it was great to get them and Xemnu because more villains is always better. We're going to go over the articulation for Xemnu here, and we're going to start at the head because there really isn't much except for side to side because this sculpt unfortunately gets in the way of his head moving. But there is here, we'll just take it off. There is a joint in there, as you can see. So it's not the articulation isn't put into the figure, it's just you can't do it because his sculpt gets in the way, and now I can't get his head back in because of the sculpt. There we go. Okay, shoulders come out 90 degrees, no butterfly joint in there, but there is quite a bit of articulation on that shoulder. Bicep cut, single elbows, so about 90 degrees on that. Then we have up down on the wrist. We do have an ab crunch on Xemnu here. You can hear it kinda, and I pulled his head off. Legs come up that far. Thigh cut because that's where the BAF piece attaches. Then we've got double knees, but he can't get quite to his own butt. Yeah, you can. I lied. He's just coming apart here, isn't he? But yeah, coming down, we do have rockers, up, down, so normal articulation, pretty good for a big guy except for that head, unfortunately. First up, for scale and comparison, here he is with Dormammu and Lady Deathstrike, and he is quite a bit bigger than them, so he's pretty imposing. We'll have the Hulk here in a couple minutes to compare them, but as you can see, with two figures used to build him, don't know why I can't talk today. Sometimes you just can't talk, but their scale is pretty good because Lady Deathstrike is smaller, Dormammu's a little bit taller, and Xemnu is just huge. Here he is with two more of the BAF figures used to build him, Arcade and AIM Scientist Supreme. Great filler on my villain shelf. Well, Arcade's gonna go on my X-Men shelf next to Deadpool and stuff. But Xemnu's gonna go down on the villain shelf with the Scientist Supreme and Dormammu and the Hood and Red Skull. But Lady Deathstrike's also going on my X-Men shelf. Here he is with the Iron Spider and our Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, just because I love them so much, my two favorite Spider-Man. You can see he has his head back on from the 2-pack, but I'm doing another video with all my Spider-Man figures, comparing them and trying to make the best version, or my best version of Spider-Man. So yeah, be ready for that video coming out pretty soon. Here he is with Jen Walters, the She-Hulk. He did try to make her his Xemnu bride in the comics. He tried to make her like a female version of his race, because in the end Xemnu's just lonely and he wants to go home or have a family, even though he's like going about nefarious and evil means to do it. He's a pretty broken guy, but She-Hulk was like, this is not it, and I agree with you, girl. No way. Although She-Hulk the show is amazing. There's a new episode coming out on Thursday. I can't wait. And here is the living Hulk with the Incredible Hulk, Mr. Smashy himself. They've squared off quite a few times, and usually the Hulk wins. So that's great. We love to see the Hulk win, and I'm sure he does too, because he loves to smash, and really that's all he needs to do to win. So it's really like Hulk loves that. So fighting Xemnu is probably one of his favorite things to do, because he's a worthy opponent. They're both really strong. They both are like, well, Xemnu's really smart. The Hulk is just like, the Immortal Hulk run was so cool. Like, you guys need to read it. It's like basically a horror version of the Hulk, and they use Xemnu really well in there. He used his mind control powers to brainwash the world into thinking that he was the Incredible Hulk, and like he had a TV show in the 70s for kids, like Barney style, and the Hulk was even convinced that Xemnu was like that, and he finally broke it, and it's a really cool comic, so check it out. Here he is with our DC Multiverse Doomsday Batman, which is actually in a larger scale. So this is 1/12 and this is 1/10 because it's 7-inch. So if going by that, Xemnu in 1/10 would be like so much taller than this guy. Like, that's crazy. But Xemnu's a big guy and this Doomsday's a big guy. I mean, to be fair, McFarlane's scale is a little wonky, but like if you're going directly scale to scale, Xemnu's bigger than this guy, both scales. And lastly, probably the only opponent Xemnu is terrified of, Bob. With all of that being said, you guys, I will say the Xemnu BAF was totally worth it, because it was totally worth it to me to get this guy for my shelf. Great to have more villains, especially another Hulk villain, because I don't have many. I need to get the Leader, Absorbing Man, a bunch of others, but you know, it is what it is. You get what you can get, and he was relatively cheap. So I'm not going to complain. I love Xemnu. If you guys like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. Let me know in the comments down below if you like this format for BAFs. Maybe if I end up getting whole waves in the future, like at first, like all of them, I might do BAFs this style. I'm definitely going to keep doing this as I collect BAF pieces and like figures get cheaper and stuff, like older ones. So that's always good. But yeah, of course, do that and subscribe down below. Of course, also let me know how you're doing in the comments. I love you. I will see you next time, and bye-bye.